Mr. Mascha, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, very good.
Good to see you after.
It's been quite busy.
Certification was the last time, but I see a lot of on social media and internet. It's good.
Yeah, I'm making a noise, Michael.
That's good. That's what we want from our water sommeliers, making noise.
Yeah, I'm making as much noise as I can, as much as I can, and the reception is fantastic. I must say, people seem to. It's almost as if it's logical. It's like people knew this all along, but nobody told them.
Yeah, it's almost like magic. Huh? Mm-hmm. It's such an easy story, but no one has seen it.
But yeah, everybody kind of is so receptive to it, and it's so logical. I almost feel like it's a basic human right now. Everybody needs to know this stuff. This is what we're made of, you know. Hello?
Sorry, we're just about to start.
Sorry, mate.
We will continue that conversation. It was very interesting.
So I didn't know it was being broadcast to the whole of Slovenia.
You just captivated the audience there.
I'm glad I didn't swear, which is good for me.
Yeah. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed your lunch. I know I did. And the sweet cake at the end was a very nice treat. So we're on panel 4, distribution of bottled water and the presentation of the first water bar in the United Kingdom. So we have again our bearded water sommelier, Doran from the UK, and Crag Water.
Hello.
We have Mr. Michael Mascha of Fine Waters, USA. I would say I would crown him as the godfather of water sommeliers. This is the guy that's really made it happen. So it's a privilege and an honor to have him here today. We have Mr. Pat Eckert, owner and director of Fine Liquids, who has really made a huge difference in the way water is distributed, but also creating drinking water lifestyles. And this is something that he will explain a bit later. And then we have our guest again, Mr. Neul Kim, all the way from South Korea, water sommelier and an advocate for water and drinking water lifestyles. So, gentlemen, all of you have got amazing things to say. So hands up first, who would like to start?
Oh, I'll happily go if no one else wants to. I'll
Thank you, Doran.
It's all right. What do you want me to start with? Sorry, Milin.
So the title of the panel is Distribution of Bottled Water and the Presentation of the First Water Bar in the United Kingdom. So really, it's your experiences from where you are to where you want to be, and also the distribution network that you're trying to create.
Okay, so if I start with reusable glass bottles, which to me is absolutely critical. Before I got involved with water, one of the things that used to annoy me is when companies, individuals are lucky enough to have, whether it's oil or a natural resource in the ground, and then that resource is kind of benefiting a very few shareholders somewhere on, on a board. And I just thought that with my lucky find of this beautiful water, I'd like to do the opposite with it. So the first thing I did was reusable glass bottles only. That's the only option to buy Crag spring water. If you don't return the bottle, I tell people regularly, and Milin can vouch for this, if you're not going to return the bottle, don't buy the water. Because we are probably the only people in the United Kingdom that care about the environmental side of what we're doing, and we're actually doing something about it. So I have customers who I unfortunately have to pull out if they're not going to return bottles. And it's something that I'm really, really passionate about. I've got bottles that are 4 years old. They've been in circulation for 4 years. And to me, recycling is a symptom of how far away we need to be as a species on this planet, because recycling is just box ticking, but reusing is the answer for me. And, the norm in the United Kingdom is we use a bottle once, and then we put it in a grey bin, and that bottle gets crushed and turned back into, guess what? A bottle, which is what it was in the first place. So All we do is rewash our bottles, just like we do with new bottles, old bottles, it doesn't matter, they all get washed. And I don't understand why more people aren't reusing glass. I don't understand it. It makes sense environmentally, socially, financially. There's no extra work for us, really. The collections are done at the same time as the deliveries. So that's something I'm really passionate about. And in Europe, this was normal 30 years ago. Everybody was reusing glass. And we've gone from reusing, especially in the United Kingdom, we've gone from reusing to recycling in 30 years. And we're the only people offering a reusable option at the moment with water. And I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I think you have a good point here. But I also want to make the topic almost a little bit wider. So this recycling is very important, but once you recycle, that means you already have access to the water. And for me, if I look at the distribution issue, is I'm doing this now for more than 20 years. And I tell people all about these beautiful waters, and people really enjoy it. They like it. Doran, your water sommelier, you have the same feeling. You put new waters in front of people. They want it. They like it. And at the end of a session, when I introduce people to 5, 6 new waters, they ask me, where can I get the water? Mm-hmm. And this is when I have to tell them, you can't, sorry. Mm-hmm. This is a small production. It's only available in Ecuador. This is a small production only from the UK. You cannot get the water. And for me, that's one of the key problems is the distribution. The problem is, of course, that we have many, many small, production companies that want to distribute on a global problem. So this is a huge problem, and very small companies want to solve these huge problems. And unfortunately, it's very hard. And we have some experts here that have bitten their teeth onto this problem for a long time. And we can ask Milin and Pat to chime in on that. But I think the distribution is the missing part in really completing the revolution of telling people that water is not just water, water is a natural product, it comes from a special place. Now we have achieved the goal over the last 20 years that people want the waters. Now we have to put in the last piece of the puzzle in making it actually possible for people to get the water on a larger variety, and moving away from what I call the commodity water distribution of San Pellegrino, Panna, and those waters that with a very strong distribution smash out all what we really care about. What do you think, Pat or Milin? Do you want to chime in on the difficulties of distribution?
Yeah, Michael, you were totally right. Our company, Fine Liquids, was built in Germany in 1987. So this is a real old company. And when they started, they did it just combining with wine. We had a very, very strong and small market. And we rethought that company and reinvented that company in the last 5 years, I think. And we started from scratch. We thought, okay, what is the real challenge we have to face? And the real challenge we have to face, we spoke the whole morning about that. It's all about awareness and consciousness. So as long as we are not aware of the issue with water, as long as we don't care about that. And so we started with Fine Liquids thinking about giving people a portfolio, not just their regional waters, but because maybe inside of the portfolio in the region, there is not your water. And when you don't have your water, you don't drink water. So we tried to build a portfolio in the company so that people have a choice and they can pick up their bottles and try. So what do we do? Fine Liquids is an online shop from Germany and from the UK since 2019, I think. We send boxes, just like you know them from winery. So you go into the shop and you check out which water do I like to experience. And then you put them into your boxes, into your cases, and we ship them all across Europe. The thing is that this is the first time that you have access to waters nobody else have. So what is the difference between the waters you know and the waters we distribute? It's unique stuff. We had Donyard here on the table. It's not that easy to get Donyard to Germany. It's very hard, but we got it. Then we had it. And what does the company do? They said, okay, we just send it in PET over to Germany. So this is a door that's been closed because we just want to distribute waters in glass bottles. Why do we all do that? For a very serious reason. I, for my single person, mentioned there is water on this planet which is fitting perfect to me. I really can like this water. I can fall in love with that water. And why shouldn't I give all the other people the same experience? So this experience is not for everybody. There are people, they say water is just water. That's okay to me. And it's not necessary to buy waters at Fine Liquids, but it's necessary for the people to have that choice and to make that experience and to dive into small companies, which you never could get access to. It needs someone who brings that water here and distributes that waters. And this is what we do. So when Milin and I, we partnered up in Corona times. So we met first digitally, and then we thought, okay, let's double our force and bring the idea, the mission and vision of hydrating the imagination to the people in the UK and as far as we can. And then we found out it's not all about these waters itself. So we decided to do online tastings, and we did not recognize when we started that this is a real big thing. We just thought, send those waters to the people, make a session and good. But it was so much more. As you just mentioned with that 80-year-old guy, I was totally amazed when I saw what we did with that guy. I was totally amazed when I saw what we did with the children. Sometimes when I talk about the experience with children, I think that the people may think I am crazy, but I am not. This is the language that the children speak. And so I think it's really necessary, and this is the goal of Fine Liquids, to connect more and more of the small companies which are really passionate with their source and their spring, and connect more and more distributors to lower prices, lower shipping costs, and give more opportunity to the audience. So that's in a very short way what Fine Liquids is all about. And yeah, so we try to connect the worlds, and we try to build bridges. And at the end, so because I don't want that you think, oh my God, what is he doing? He is sampling waters from all over the world. We still provide our personal choice of water tap filtration system for your all-day hydration, because we still know there is water for hydration and there is water for for the special moments in life. And this is what we talk about. Yeah, so that's a short overview about Fine Liquids and what we are doing and what our goals are.
Yes, thank you, Per. I think definitely, the title of this panel is Distribution of Bottled Water, but definitely the interaction that we have with clients, guests, or people that we're presenting to, yes, we are distributing waters in the most cost-effective way as possible. However, it's also providing that experience and that knowledge of, not to just open a bottle and drink straight from the bottle, but create some element of fun, some elevating the way we drink water, and taking that step back of actually understanding the source of the water, what characteristics are in the water, and even the history of these springs are absolutely amazing. I think Coca-Colas were made in the 1900s, but some of these springs date back to the 1500s or before when they were bottled. So they're steeped in history, and it's a very nice educational element that we can provide with this experience. And I think that whole educational element is what helps drive this, the knowledge sharing. And just over to Hanno. Your experiences in Korea, what are the trends of distribution and
Okay. Yesterday, I discussed with Pat about the water market. We felt the totally different from the European and Korean water market. So let me introduce something special for Korean water market. Do you know 1988 Seoul Olympic? 1988. Korean government prohibit to sell water before Olympics because Korean government want to make money for the tap water and with the tax. So Korean government didn't allow to sell bottled water. So and in Seoul Olympic, Korean government want to sell bottled water to foreigners. So they allowed to sell water for very short time. And after that, many people and many companies prepared, and after Olympic time, and Korean government can allow to sell bottled water. So many capital and company prepared to sell the bottled water, but the Korean government prohibited to sell bottled water again. And so people was angry because we want to pick and buy my water, the water I want. But Korean government limited to sell bottled water. So people fight with government. And so 1994, finally, the law is changed is available to sell bottled water. So Korean water market is took just 30 years. It's very short. So many companies prepared to produce water. So Korean bottled water market is very competitive. So there are more than 300 water brands in local market and more than 100 of imported water and the water taste beverages. So about 1,000 water brands in Korea. So very competitive. So Evian is cheaper than France because 0.7 euros. Yeah, very cheap in Korea, Evian, because very competitive. And the San Pellegrino 750 milliliters glass bottle is just under 2 euros. Very cheap. The Korean imported water is cheaper than original nations. It's a very different with European water market. So Korean is very small country and small nation, small territories, but our Korean water market is very maybe the most competitive market in all over the world. Yeah. So so Pat told you the waters has adequate market. It calls target marketing. So the water can be stored by PET or distributed by glass. It is the law is different. PET water is when we moved and we walked and when we hiked the mountain, when we need the PET because the more safer. About glass, glass is the more short. The glass helps the water to be well, so we drink the glass water on the table. But in Korea, it's very competitive market. So this target market is very mixed and confused. So 5-star hotels and restaurant, they serve the pet avian. It's so strange. And local domestic supermarket sells the barrier by glass. Yes, very confused, and the mixed price strategies and confuse or everything. So if the new imported water, they want to enter the Korean market, but it's very confused market, so they cannot enter easily. So big company suggest give me 10 barrels by the discount, because 10 barrels is very high amount, very big amount. So many small, tiny company to give the big company to sell very low price, and so they make the water market to mess up. Yes. So
I think, yes, and we talked about that yesterday night, and I think what is really necessary to understand what Hanu is talking about, the point of this is a main market for waters with a circulation of millions of bottles in a whole country, and what I am talking about is supporting the small brands, because the small brands which are bottling their water in a very limited quantity all around the globe, they don't have access to these big markets because they cannot deal with that prices. They cannot access. So that's it. And so what we try, and this is what we try together with people like Michael and Doran, is to elevate those waters. And what we did in London is we opened a water boutique, a fine liquids water boutique, where you can walk in and you can see all those waters and you can taste those waters. And we combined that with a fine liquids art gallery, because we think when you want to elevate this complete topic, you have to think on so much more, which is depending on that. So the waters we sell are waters for the special moments in your life. So when you have a special moment in your life, you don't take the cheapest wine. You take a brilliant one. So why don't you take a brilliant water next to this wine? Why don't you take water bottles to decorate your tables? And so on and so on. That's the idea behind.
Thank you for that insight, both of you. So from this, like in Korea, the distribution, the bigger brands, the bigger players that can send out pallets and pallets, and there's millions of bottles of Evian, and I'm absolutely surprised that the price of Evian in Korea is less than what it would be in France. Yeah. Okay, and that's just due to the volume of supply into the country. Mr. Michael Mascha, could you give an introduction to your ideas of this tasting room? I know you did express this to me earlier in the year, but I find it absolutely fascinating. And could this trend that you're going to explain to the audience, could this be a possible solution?
Yeah, definitely. So before I go to the tasting room, let me try to frame the big concept and the problem we're having here. So I think we basically won. The idea that water is not just water is very solid. It's out there. And we have many brands that do what Doran and many other of the smaller brands do, bottle some very exclusive, very fine waters in a very gentle way, and trying to allow access to what source they have to the many people that are out there in the world. So we have more than enough brands that want to do that, and hopefully we get more in the future. And we have consumers that really want access to those waters. And the big problem we're fighting, and what is this panel about, is this piece in the middle, and it's the distribution of the waters. So we have the demand, we have the product. How do we solve the problem in the middle? And what we call the big brands have solved that problem because they put a lot of capital into infrastructure that allows them to get their waters into the restaurant, into the shop, into your home. And they are only interested in doing one thing, selling their water. So if you talk to Evian, if you talk to San Pellegrino, they don't care about other waters. They only want to sell their waters. And this is, I think, the Achilles heel of why we're winning is because the demand from consumers has moved away from, I want the best water in the world. There is no best wine, there's no best food. People want to have choices in their world. And I think that's the biggest mistakes that the big companies are making. They're selling you one water. They're doing everything to get every other person out and have only one choice in the restaurant. And the choice is called still or sparkling of their brand. And let me tell you, and I think Doran is agreeing, this is not going to happen in the future. Because if you have ever been with people in front of a restaurant, they don't want the choice of wine to be red or white. They want their choice to be a wine menu. And the same thing is happening right now. People want to have a portfolio of waters. The big companies are completely unable to provide a portfolio because they're focused on their distribution is actually their biggest part. The bottling is the smaller part. So they are focused on selling you one water. We need to take advantage of that trend and do what exactly, Pat, Milin, and many other smaller distribution companies doing around the world is providing a portfolio. And what we're basically doing, we're saying instead of building one big company, we're building a big movement that consists of many small companies. And all the small companies in the fine water society understand that there's no best water. They understand their competition is not the other small brand, that their competition is the big companies, the San Pellegrinos, the Panas, the Evians. That's the competition. And the small companies have the advantage that they can work together. And if they work together, they have a product that the big companies doesn't have. Because what the consumer demand is a portfolio, not a single water. And I think that is the key. The idea of what product consumer want has shifted away from water to portfolio. And if we can take with the Fine Water Society, with Fine Waters and the Bled Fine Water Festival, what we're doing here, taking advantage of that portfolio idea, that in the future will be the key, because we have a product that the big companies don't have and will not be able to get in a very long time. They're thinking about it. I can see some rumors, but those are big ships. They will not turn around quickly. So that is our key. The key is that we provide a portfolio of waters. And having so many people in the audience and here that are from small brands is a sign that this approach is working. And what you mentioned about the tasting room is just a way of getting people exposed to the portfolio by having smaller brands, not trying to build their own distribution system and competing with the big companies that have built multi-million-dollar distribution system, but coming together with the distributors to form a tasting room where people have access to waters early on. And there are many details. I don't want to bore you with that. But what I think is the biggest difference from a brand point of view is that the brand of the future understands that they need to sell to the consumer and not the distributor. There's still some medium and large size brands. They're only interested in selling to the distributor. Here's my container. It's your problem now. Sell the water, right? This will not work in the future. You need to have the whole arch from the source to the consumer, and the distributor for the company will be your partner that helps you get the water to the consumer. So that's kind of the overview of the problem as I see it currently, and the way I think it will be dealt with in the future.
Thank you, Michael, for that fascinating introduction. Does the audience have any questions on this first part of the distribution of waters? hopefully you all agree that it's more than just putting waters in a box and shipping them out. But if there's any questions in regards to your experiences or what you would like to see in regards to access to different waters, you know, the floor is yours, or we'll carry on. Okay, no questions. So my question is, the title of this here is about distribution. And I'm going to put you on the spot, Pat. Define, with your experience in the industry and everything that you do in the background, design, etc., define for the audience a water, natural water distribution. What does that exactly mean?
Okay, what does it mean to distribute a natural water in glass with a beautiful shape and a beautiful label with a beautiful taste? This means I have to explore it. I have to find it on planet Earth. So that's the first thing. I'm looking for those brands. When I'm in another country, I'm looking for those brands. And when I find those brands, I get in touch with the bottling plant, with the owners. And most of the time, they are small brands, and so just family-owned and family-grown stuff. And so it's just not just a business relationship. It's more a family or friend-like relationship from the beginning, most of the time. So then we decide to bring that water into our online shop. Then there comes a hard time. Actually, you can get agencies which are writing article descriptions for you. How should that go for a natural water? What should a bot write? He would write, "It's a still water ready." What I do is I talk to people who already tasted that water. I talk to the owners. I take a look into the country, into the geology. I try to find out, what does that mineralization mean? I try to find out, are there any experts which already did pairings with that water? So I really dive deeply into that. And when I got an article description, which I really appreciate, I translate it into 7 languages to provide it to the whole planet. So that's it for first. So now you can find that. And when you are interested in this water, you can buy it and I ship it to you. It is no difference for me if you are an end consumer, you get it as end consumer in that quantity you need, or you are a restaurant. And when you're a restaurant, you can get it in maybe 4 pallets over a year, if it is a very, very expensive or a unique water. Not every water you can get in thousands. Yeah, we have brands where we can only get 1 pallet a year. When we are sold out, it's sold out because there is no more water of this brand available.
Okay.
So, and before I end with that, how to distribute, we decide together with the Fine Liquids community, and this is an international meeting of water sommeliers, which water do we want to sample next? And then we make our decision, try to get those water to every water sommelier from Japan to Slovenia to the US. And then we have a live stream. And sometimes people say, how can you talk 1 hour about one water brand? How can you do that? My question is, oh my God, how can we do 1 hour? Because we could talk 4 hours without problems, because there is so much to tell. And this is the last thing, in my opinion, in distribution. You can ship it everywhere. It's all about cost, okay? But at the end, it's a story. And yeah, there are so many real good stories to tell, and you heard such of them in the morning.
Thank you, Pat, for that real life experience of exactly what goes behind the scenes in regards to the water distribution. We have a question from our online guests. So,
okay, good. So we have online question from Claudia, which goes, What is your view on sustainability in a sense of educating people first about local water resources and quality versus increasing CO2 impact based on transport on the other part of Europe?
I think when you look at the transport ways all across the planet, you have to face that we all want to have bananas, that we all want to have California wines and stuff like that. So the amount of the waters that we sell and ship is such as low that it is not really you cannot measure that. So, but all in all, we are working together with companies which are carbon neutral. So from the beginning on, and I could tell you some of them, but all in all, we try to reduce our CO2 footprint as good as we can under the circumstances.
Fantastic. Also, Doran, would you like to contribute?
Yeah.
Question.
So I get international inquiries, and it gives me great satisfaction, I'm sorry to say this, to say no, I'm not sending water internationally. I refuse to do it exactly because of the reason or the question that was given. For me, water is heavy, it's low value, and encouraging people to be drinking local sourced water is absolutely imperative. Now, obviously, there is a market here for the fine end and fine waters and for fine liquids, of course. But, you know, like you said, Pat, what you're doing is shipping small volumes, small quantities. For me, though, it gives me an opportunity to do something different. My market is the United Kingdom. We have basically nationwide distribution now on a returnable glass bottle model. It's the first one in the United Kingdom, and I'm really proud of that. So 80% of the bottles that leave our plant come back. And for me, that's a real way of making a difference. And that makes me very proud.
Yeah, let me add, if we have one more second, because I think it's a really important question. And, you know, as water sommeliers, we get this question a lot. I, again, want to step back a little bit and look into what are we using water for? And there's this big hydration part, we call it hydration. And then what we've introduced with fine waters and why we're here is also that we can push water into the Epicurean world, meaning water like wine, you know, pairing it with food, enjoying it, celebrating with water. But if you look at the volume, the largest volume of water used is for hydration and not so much for the Epicurean.
That's
so many brands around the world are local and hyperlocal. You know, Doran is a classic example. Radius 99, which means he only, in his label, he says he's only distributing the water 99 kilometers around where the source is. So they are very local. So those are waters that fill both the hydration part and the Epicurean part. But as Pat was saying, there's also a small number, and it's really tiny, minuscule amount of water that is shipped around the world for Epicurean reasons, the same way we ship champagne around the world and we ship water from Australia to Europe. If you want to drink a Grange, you get it from Australia. So yes, our choices have consequences, but they're very small. But what people need to understand is for hydration, the local water and even the tap water is perfectly okay. So we don't advocate that we buy all the water from Australia for your hydration need. If you buy water from Australia or from a remote area, that's for an Epicurean reason, similar to champagne. So it influences the volume only very, very little.
Can I just say can I add one thing to that? So from my point of view as a provider, if there was a global network that like Michael's talking about now, a way of sustainably delivering fine waters around the world, yeah, I'm 100% in for that, definitely. But when it comes to individual requests, which is like at the moment, could you send me a couple of bottles, a couple of crates, whatever, that's where it doesn't fit in. So I think if there was an organized structure, yeah, I'm definitely into that for sure.
Definitely, I totally agree with the comments. And also just in regards to Michael Mascha's comments in regards to the Epicurean pleasure, the Epicurean experience, this is a personal view. Yes, there are bottles of water being shipped in very low volumes. However, the user, the person that's experiencing these waters, if it's with friends, family, or by themselves, what immediately occurs is these waters are not for hydration. So that individual is already connected with the natural source waters, you know, if it's Doran MG or other natural waters. And what we find is their respect, their understanding, their outlook on water completely changes once they experience these, how Pat describes these special waters. And when distributors like Hanoi and Pat at Fine Liquids and Michael Mascha and Doran are sending these waters with a clear, defined message of how special these waters are from and where they're from for the users to engage with, that's where it can change. And yes, there is a carbon footprint, but I think by experiencing this, it definitely changes people's mindsets that water is just not water, and it creates that special moment. And when they are shopping for waters for hydration purposes, they're making a conscious decision not to purchase processed tap waters, or maybe fall back in love with their tap water at home if that's available to them without filtration, or maybe looking at water technologies that we've been discussing at Bled to implement that at home to drink. So I think there is a payoff. Yes, there is the immediate, the carbon footprint of shipping, but we need to look above and beyond what has been created by people experiencing these special waters.
Yeah, I personally think we should all, with that complete topic, we should be aware of it's cosmic juice. It comes from the stars, or do you know where it comes from? It's here. We are made of it. And the attention that water gets, in my opinion, is deeply too low. And however we can create awareness, it's amazing. And I never thought that fine liquids could get such reactions. But all in all, I'm very happy about that, because I know that we can give or provide positive emotions with what we are doing. And this is connected with water. And so I'm here at Bled Water Festival. Who I'm amazed about that. So what I see is that this world is connecting more and more. And for the future, I'm not afraid, because I think we face what our problems are. And maybe in the future, we have solutions we actually don't see. But what we are doing actually is opening the doors to these solutions.
Yeah. I'd just like to add, here at Bled Water Festival, it's all about meeting, collaborating, and thinking of ideas of how, water solutions for the built environment and sustainability. And Hanoi, could you please share just, the first time that you've met Pat Eckert here at Bled, and just having that opportunity to have a conversation about the businesses and how you could work together to enable more cost-effective, less carbon footprint relationships and distribution of water. Because I think for the audience, it's a very special thing that we've had this opportunity at Bled Water Festival to discuss this on this level. So you can please share that.
Maybe I'm the most far from Bled.
Is it 28 hours? It
28 hours flight.
Commitment.
Come here. And so the Michael said, also the global network. We can buy Napa Valley wines, and we can buy more BTS albums from South Korea. Yes, we already made some global networks, and finally kids can send to Japan and South Africa. You can do it. And most important things we are for a small company can deliver to all over the world, but it's important to as well as there are stories to deliver. So why the region, the water sommelier important, they have to try a lot. They make a storytelling. Maybe more companies got of awards of prize. They try it, but made some stories, and water sommelier add their individual experience and made a story. More, for example, I met Marco in Bled, and I met Milin from UK, and we discussed about the most valuable water, what it is. So we discussed, and this water is very good. We admit. So that will be storytelling. There will be storytelling for their small company. I am distributor, and my partner is very small companies. I distribute 10 kinds of waters, but they can't. They can't the right storytelling to end of customers because very small company. So I try to to inform their stories to the end of customers. Like I wrote the columns more than 60 times, and I participating some this panel discussion, and I broadcasted with the main channels, and I tried. And I am just one, but many restaurants want good job water sommelier, but they can't hire me because I'm just one. So we have some, I consulted to restaurant, so they use my name on water list in menu. So they use my name. So some restaurant, you can look my name on the menu in water list, and the waiter just tell, the water sommelier Kim is very well known in Korea, and he recommended this with this food, and storytelling is this, and I don't know water well, but the water sommelier Kim, yes, recommended this pairing, and they can sell waters easily. Yes,
and I think
it's my experience.
And I think it's a beautiful way how from distribution to then chefs, restaurants being able to reference your work, your study of water in that way to give that experience. And Michael, if you could share, your years of experience of working with chefs in restaurants, and from where you started to where you are now, and maybe what you see the future would be. Just quick.
The future will be bright. The future will be bright. It was difficult for the last 20 years, but for the last couple of years, it's gotten very bright. And that's a lot to do with the people like you that came into the fold, and we're pushing together instead of just very few people pushing. But let me come back to what Hanul was saying. It was really very interesting, and Pat was saying it with different words. And I want to just synthesize it a little bit and bring it to the point is, I think for distribution, it's important to understand that a distributor doesn't sell water. Sounds strange, but what a distributor really sells is the story of the water. That's the selling point. The water is just a medium on which the water is the medium on which the story travels. So the most important thing is that you're selling the story, and exactly like Hanul was saying, you create the water menu, the list, the recommendations, all those kind of things is about the story, connecting to the source, understanding where Doran's Crag Springs comes from, the speciality, why is this water special, why taste it special. So that's one thing, the distributor sells the story. The second thing is that a thing that has changed for a distributor, and if a distributor is very much aware, I think they can take advantage of that, is that the product has changed. Water is not the product that the distributor sells anymore. The portfolio is. And I cannot stress this, and it sounds really strange, but the new product for a distribution company in the water business is the portfolio. Think about the restaurants that have been mentioned. A restaurant would not want to engage with 5 different brands to get water into the restaurant. They want to engage with one single distributor that provides them with a portfolio. 5 waters out of 12 waters, maybe, or 20 waters the distributor has, customized to the restaurant. This is what the restaurant wants. And this is how you get smaller brands in front of the audience, get some touch points with the water, is by selling a portfolio as a product, not the individual waters. This is also distinguishing our waters from the San Pellegrinos and Panas that tell you this is the best water in the world, buy only one water, drink only one water, be happy. That's not going to work in the future anymore. So I think that's really important for the distributors, that those kind of things has changed. And this is a panel about distribution. So that's my main contribution to people that are out there maybe thinking of starting bottled water distribution is you have to have a portfolio. And for the water brands out there, the message is you have to play in a portfolio. You have to be comfortable with that you cannot say you're the best water. You need to focus on your special characters and must allow people next to you to have very good, very nice, very great waters, just with different characters. And for the portfolio distributor, it's make this all into one product and sell it to the consumer, the restaurant, to the hotel. I think this will be the path for the future.
Thank you, Michael, for your insight and really championing, access to waters for experiences. Would the audience have any questions for our panelists? Yes.
I will tell in German and Pat is trying to translate. Ich finde, das Problem ist, dass die Restaurants oftmals an Verträge geknüpft sind. Und
Mike says that the restaurants most of the time are in contracts. So, and this is prohibiting additional waters on top.
Und das nächste ist dann, dass einfach die Information fehlt. Deswegen sind Water Menus ganz wichtig. Was kann das Wasser? Was macht das Wasser? Wie kann ich das verwenden? Ja, weil nicht jedes Wasser passt zu jedem Essen oder zu jeder Nachspeise, zu jedem Dessert. Oder was kann ich dazu trinken? Oder welcher Wein passt dazu? Oftmals findet man ja 10 Weine drauf, aber nur ein Bier und ein Wasser.
So when you have a look into a menu in the restaurant, the informations are missing. Which water do you buy when you order that? So this is just the name of the brand and the price and maybe the centiliters, but not more. And so you don't know what can you do with that water. Can you pair this water with this meal, with that kind of eating you want to buy now? And sometimes that does not fit. And as long as you don't have this information, no water menu, you can make wrong decisions in the restaurant for you.
Oder auch noch eben, was will ich mit meinem Restaurant machen oder was will ich überhaupt anbieten? Ja, wenn ich ein Wanderlokal habe, ist es was anderes, als wenn ich ein Fischrestaurant habe. So, und da macht sich auch der Eigentümer manchmal gar keine Gedanken drüber. Ja, oftmals hat man das falsche Getränk zum falschen Essen und man sagt, das hat nicht geschmeckt.
Yeah, so sometimes the problem is you got a fish restaurant, you got a steak restaurant, but you're in the same region and you have a contract with the regional water, and that does not fit to both of these restaurants, and the owner does not think about that issue. And this is where the water sommeliers get into, just to be a kind of consultant to bring attention. Hey, you cannot do that. That does not work. If you want to serve fish, these waters could work very well. And think about it, in long term, your restaurant will be more, will bring more value to your customers, to your guests, than without that water. It's a selling point at the end.
Yeah,
when you are inside the contract, then yeah. Sorry, Michael. Yeah.
No, sorry, I interrupted you. Very good question. So yes, you put your finger on one of the main problems, and that's again the problem of dealing with large corporations that don't depend on making all their money within the next 6 months. They can have long-term views, and what they're basically doing, they're signing, exactly as you said, contracts with restaurants, sometimes hotels, sometimes whole restaurant and groups that saying for the next 5 years, the only water you can sell is our water, and we sell it to you for a very cheap price. And They're really, really enforcing this. I've dealt with many restaurants that we want to have a water menu, but we have a contract with those guys. And this is like almost having a contract with the mob. You know, you want to make sure you follow through because they have, you know, strong arms to convince you to continue selling or buying the water from them. So that's definitely one of the things. The other thing is restaurants are guilty as well. I think some restaurants are stupid and many of them are lazy. Only very few restaurants see the trend. They really focus on wine and food. They completely overlook the trend of water. And they're lazy in the sense that say, oh, we signed a cheap contract with those guys. We get the water for 99 cents. We sell it for $10 and we make our profit. So the answer to that attitude is from the consumer. If you go, and I really encourage you, if you go to a restaurant, go there, ask what kind of waters they have. If they tell you they have still and sparkling, ask the sommelier, say, sommelier, you know, your wine list 100 waters, 100 wines, no water on the water menu. Why don't I have a choice with my water? What's wrong here? So really this push needs to come from us telling the restaurants that they're lazy. And I call them also stupid. They're really stupid because my good friend Martin Riese has shown, he's a water sommelier and he implemented some of the most forward-looking water menus in Los Angeles. And he has numbers of the water sales for the restaurant going up by 400%. So having a water menu is not a burden. It distinguishes your restaurant. It gives you a revenue center. All you have to do is not be lazy and not be stupid. So I think the recommendation would be going forward, don't sign the long-term contract, put some effort into a water menu, and your guests will have a much, much nicer experience. So very good question. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So this will be the end of panel 4. Also, just we at Fine Liquids, yes, water distribution, but we wanted to share some images of art because for us, we combine water and art and music together for our customers to enjoy. And we work with a number of artists from the Royal College of Art worldwide. And these are artists that are really in tune with water and create pieces of art with water. So in store, we have artists. Right here, we have an artist called Jacob. You can look him up on Facebook, Instagram, or just Google. It's called Journey of Curiosity. Okay, that's Journey of Curiosity. So this artwork, and to the audience, can anyone take a guess what that could be? Hands? Yes. Yeah. So it's artwork called cymatics. Okay, so this artwork here is a plate of water, okay? And then sound frequency at different levels is influenced onto the water. So this water would be, say, on a speaker, and you would sing to it, say, I love you, play your favorite music, or play different hertz of sound. And this is the beauty of water, absorbing sound. And when we look at water in this way, and discussing natural waters and fine waters, our artist, Jacob, creates these beautiful images. And what we have found is, yes, we are distributing waters, and yes, we are discussing waters. However, what we find in our Fine Liquids Art Gallery in London is people that may be on discovery or maybe suffering from slight mental illness or health, or just want to be one with water and explore water more. When we're creating natural images like this with water, it really brings a beautiful symbiotic synergy with Jacob's work at Journey of Curiosity. So what we find is, you know, the study, cymatics is the study of visible sound and vibration, and we use water as the medium, and it's a beautiful way of expressing the beauty of water, how we can influence art with water, but then also it gives a positive feel-good image. And we have customers, guests coming to the art gallery just wanting to look at these images because it brings a moment of joy, a moment of happiness, and the surprise that water can absorb beautiful vibration or sound. So it was just to add on to the panel discussion of a water distributor. What is a water distributor? And here with our panel, we want to push boundaries and include the arts, the music, the design, the taste, and everything that we've discussed here today into one beautiful package so any person can fall in love with water. Thank you. Sorry. So we've discussed water all day. Yeah? Have you had fun? Has it been informative? Will I see the same faces back at Bled next year? Please, please, because I think the audience has been absolutely amazing. We're going to be going downstairs now for a water tasting, okay? However, this isn't for us to tell you how to taste water and what to experience, okay? This is going to be a good networking opportunity to talk to people that you've not spoken to before, so don't be shy, please mix. We will be serving some beautiful waters downstairs, and what I would like from this exercise is for you in small groups to introduce yourselves, taste these waters, and create the vocabulary of what you experience on a personal level with this water. And then maybe we could share this between us. I'm sure there'll be some fun, there'll be some surprise elements, but it's for your discovery to share back to us because, hey, we've been doing a lot of talking and now I want to do a lot of listening. Okay, so let's go.